The massive spaceship Prometheus hung in the darkness of space. Its bright lights shone against the black backdrop. Captain Han Tae-woo stood on the bridge, his hands behind his back. His eyes were fixed on the large screen in front of him. "They're coming," he said to his crew. Dr. Jun Sung-min nodded. He was the ship's main language expert. Next to him stood Dr. Kim Yoon-ji, who studied different cultures. Both watched as a sleek silver ship approached the Prometheus. "First contact," whispered Yoon-ji. After all these years of searching, the alien ship was beautiful. It had smooth curves and seemed to glow with a soft blue light. It was the ship of the Nari, the first alien race humans had ever met. "Open communications," ordered Captain Han. The screen flickered and then they saw them. The Nari looked almost human, but their skin had a slight blue tint. Their eyes were large and completely black. The alien in the center wore elaborate robes and had markings on its face. "I am Ambassador Rio of the Nari Collective," the alien said. Its voice was clear but had a musical quality to it. "We welcome the people of Earth to our star system." Captain Han bowed slightly. "I am Captain Han Tae-woo of Earth's diplomatic vessel Prometheus. We are honored to meet your people." The meeting went well. The Nari had been watching Earth for decades. They had learned human languages and studied human behavior. They were peaceful and wanted to share knowledge with humans. 3 days later, the first face-to-face meeting took place. The human delegation boarded the Nari ship. Captain Han led the way, with Dr. Jun and Dr. Kim following close behind. The inside of the Nari ship was breathtaking. The walls seemed alive, changing colors as they walked past. Ambassador Rio greeted them personally. "Welcome to our home," Rio said. "We have prepared a meeting room where we can talk comfortably." The meeting room was a large circular chamber. The walls displayed images of space and stars. The Nari and humans sat around a round table. There was no head of the table. Everyone was equal here. As they talked, Dr. Jun noticed something strange. The Nari never used certain phrases that humans often used. "What is just kidding?" asked one Nari when Dr. Kim used the phrase. "Why? Would you say something you do not mean?" Dr. Jun leaned forward, his interest sparked. "It's a form of humor," he explained. "Sometimes humans say things they don't mean to make others laugh." The Nari looked confused. Ambassador Rio tilted his head. "Say things that are not true? For entertainment?" Captain Han sensed the tension in the room. "Dr. Jun, perhaps you could explain further." Dr. Jun cleared his throat. "Yes. Humans sometimes create stories that aren't real. We call it fiction. It's an important part of our culture." The mood in the room changed. The Nari looked at each other, their expressions showing concern. Ambassador Rio stood up suddenly. "You deliberately create false information?" Rio asked, his voice different now. "This is disturbing." Dr. Kim stepped in. "Not false information. Stories. Tales that help us understand life better. They're not meant to deceive." But the Nari were agitated now. One of them whispered to Ambassador Rio, who nodded gravely. "We must discuss this among ourselves," Rio said. "Please return to your ship. We will contact you soon." The human delegation was escorted back to their shuttle. The mood was tense. Once back on the Prometheus, Captain Han called a meeting. "What just happened?" he asked. "One minute we were having a friendly chat, the next minute they're sending us away." Dr. Jun paced the room. I think the Nari cannot lie." Dr. Kim looked up. "What do you mean?" "Think about it," Dr. Jun continued. "They never use hypotheticals. They never joke. They seemed genuinely disturbed by the concept of fiction." "Are you saying they're physically incapable of lying?" Captain Han asked. "I believe so," Dr. Jun replied. "Their language has no words for concepts like pretend or make-believe. It's as if they evolved without the ability to create untruths." Dr. Kim's eyes widened. "A species built entirely on absolute truth. Imagine a society where no one can lie, not even in fiction." Captain Han rubbed his chin. "This complicates things. If they see our ability to create fiction as a form of deception, they might see us as untrustworthy. Dr. Kim finished his thought. For 2 days, there was no word from the Nari. The crew of the Prometheus waited anxiously. Finally, their communication system beeped. Ambassador Rio's face appeared on the screen. Captain Han, we wish to continue our discussions. We have studied your concept of fiction, and while we do not understand it, we recognize it is important to your species. We will not judge you for this difference. Relief washed over the bridge. Thank you, Ambassador, Captain Han said. We value the opportunity to learn from each other, despite our differences. Over the next weeks, the humans and Nari shared knowledge. The Nari were fascinated by human technology, while humans were amazed by Nari medicine and science. Dr. Kim spent much time with the Nari scholars explaining human culture. They were especially confused by human stories. But why would you tell children about talking animals? One Nari scholar asked. Animals do not talk. This is teaching falsehood. It's teaching imagination, Dr. Kim explained patiently. It helps. Children think beyond what is, to what could be. The Nari scholar shook his head. Thinking of what is not real serves no purpose. Dr. Kim smiled. It serves many purposes. It helps us solve problems in new ways. It helps us understand others' feelings. It helps us hope for better things. As the days passed, the two species learned more about each other. The Nari's inability to lie made them excellent scientists and historians. Everything they recorded was exactly as it happened. Their medical technology was far ahead of Earth's because they perfectly observed and reported symptoms and results. But they struggled with creativity. They could not imagine things that did not exist. They could not invent stories. Captain Han wrote in his log, "The Nari see our ability to create fiction as both a weakness and a strange power. They cannot understand how we can say things that are not true, yet use these untruths to discover deeper truths about ourselves. Perhaps in time, we will bridge this gap. For now, we walk carefully, building trust, day by day." What no one knew was that this strange difference between humans and Nari would soon become very important. A crisis was coming that would test both species and change them forever. 3 months had passed since first contact. The Prometheus remained in Nari space, and the two species continued their careful dance of learning. Captain Han Tai-Wu had grown comfortable with the routine of daily meetings and cultural exchanges. Dr. Kim Yun-ji had made progress with the Nari scholars. Though they still could not understand human fiction, they were curious about it. They asked many questions about why humans needed stories that were not true. Dr. Jun Sung-min was working on a translation project. He was creating a dictionary that would help both species understand each other better. The Nari language had no words for imagination, pretending, or dreaming in the way humans understood these concepts. Everything changed on a quiet Tuesday morning. The alarm on the bridge of the Prometheus began blaring. Captain Han rushed from his quarters to the control room. His crew was already at their stations. "What's happening?" he demanded. Lieutenant Park Do-hyun, the ship's engineer, looked up from his console. "We're receiving an emergency signal from the outer edge of Nari space. It's a distress call." "From where?" "A research outpost called Station Kepler 7. It's one of their remote facilities." The main screen lit up with Ambassador Rio's face. The usually calm Nari looked worried. "Captain Han, we have received terrible news. One of our research stations has been struck by a large meteor. Many of our people are trapped." Captain Han stepped forward. "What can we do to help?" "Our rescue ships are too far away. They will not arrive for 2 days. The people at the station may not survive that long." Ambassador Rio paused. "We know your ships are fast and strong. Will you help us?" "Of course," Captain Han replied without hesitation. "We'll leave immediately." Within an hour, a joint rescue team was assembled. Captain Han led the mission with Dr. Kim and Engineer Park. 3 Nari joined them, including a medical officer named Healer Kai and a structural expert named Builder Yoon. The journey to Station Kepler 7 took 8 hours. As they traveled, the Nari explained what had happened. A meteor the size of a building had struck the research station. The station was built into a rocky asteroid, and the impact had caused massive damage. "How many people are at the station?" Dr. Kim asked. 43 researchers and support staff, Healer Kai replied. "We lost contact with most of them after the impact." When they arrived at the station, the sight was heartbreaking. The meteor had torn through the main structure, leaving twisted metal and broken rock everywhere. Emergency lights flickered weakly in the darkness. Captain Han's team docked with the emergency airlock. They put on their protective suits and entered the damaged station. The air was thin and cold. Broken pipes leaked strange gases into the corridors. They found survivors in a sealed section near the back of the station. 28 Nari had made it to safety, but 15 others were still missing. Builder Yoon led them through the twisted passages, following his scanner. "The missing researchers were in the deep laboratory when the meteor hit," he explained. "The passage to that section collapsed. They worked for hours, moving debris and cutting through twisted metal. Finally, they heard voices from behind a wall of broken stone and metal. 'We're here,' came a weak voice from the other side. 'Help us.' Engineer Park studied the collapse with his equipment. 'The structure is very unstable,' he reported. 'If we remove the wrong piece, the whole section could fall down and crush whoever is trapped inside.' Builder Yoon agreed. 'We must be very careful. One mistake could kill everyone.' They began the delicate work of removing debris piece by piece. As they worked, they learned more about who was trapped. There were 7 Nari researchers behind the wall. One of them was badly hurt. After several hours, they managed to create a small opening. Captain Han shined his light through the gap. He could see the trapped Nari huddled together in a small space. "We can see you," he called. "We're going to get you out." That's when they heard a small voice, higher than the others. "I'm scared," the voice said. "I want to go home." Dr. Kim looked at Builder Yoon with surprise. "Is that a child?" Builder Yoon's face showed pain. "Yes, Miso is only 8 years old. Her parent is one of the researchers. She came to visit the station for the first time." Captain Han's heart sank. Working with scared adults was difficult enough. A frightened child could make the rescue much more dangerous. Engineer Park worked to make the opening bigger, but progress was slow. Every movement had to be carefully planned. One wrong move could cause more collapse. As they worked, they could hear the child crying from behind the wall. The sound was heartbreaking. "Miso, you must stay calm," Builder Yoon called through the opening. "We will get you out soon." But the child continued to cry. Dr. Kim noticed that the other trapped Nari were trying to comfort Miso, but nothing worked. The child's fear was growing worse. Healer Kai checked her medical scanner and looked worried. "Fear causes dangerous reactions in young Nari," she explained to the humans. "The child's body is using too much oxygen. If this continues, she may become very sick." "What can we do?" Captain Han asked. "The child needs to be calm," Healer Kai replied. "But I do not know how to help her from here." They continued working, but Miso's crying became more intense. The trapped researchers tried everything they could think of to calm the child, but nothing worked. Dr. Kim watched through the small opening as the adult Nari tried to comfort Miso. They offered facts about the rescue. They explained the safety procedures. They promised that help was coming, but none of it helped. The child was too scared to listen to logic. She needed something else, something the Nari could not give her. "We need to calm her down," Engineer Park said as he worked. "The vibrations from her crying are making the structure even more unstable." Captain Han looked at the opening, then at his team. They had the tools and skills to complete the rescue, but only if the child stayed calm. The question was how to calm a scared child when logic and facts were not enough. Dr. Kim stared at the opening, an idea forming in her mind. It was an idea that would shock the Nari and maybe change everything. But first, she had to convince the others to let her try. Dr. Kim Yoon-ji stared through the small opening in the debris. The child's cries were getting louder and more desperate. Miso's fear was making everything worse. "We need to try something different," Dr. Kim said quietly to Captain Han Builder. Yoon overheard her. "What do you mean? We are doing everything we can." Dr. Kim took a deep breath. "The child needs comfort. Facts and promises are not working. She needs something else." "What else is there?" Healer Kai asked, genuinely confused. Dr. Kim looked at her human teammates, then back at the Nari. "She needs a story." The silence that followed was heavy. "Builder." Yoon's face showed shock. Healer Kai stepped back as if Dr. Kim had said something terrible. "A story?" Builder Yoon repeated. "You mean untruths?" "I mean comfort," Dr. Kim replied firmly. "A gentle story that will calm her fear." Engineer Park looked uncertain. "Dr. Kim, are you sure about this?" Captain Han studied the situation. Through the opening, they could see little Miso shaking with fear. The other trapped Nari looked helpless. They had tried everything they knew, but nothing worked. "What kind of story?" Captain Han asked. Dr. Kim's voice was soft but confident. "Something peaceful, something that will help her feel safe." Builder Yoon stepped forward, his voice sharp. "You cannot tell lies to a child. It is wrong. It will damage her mind." "It won't damage her mind," Dr. Kim said patiently. "Stories help children cope with fear. They help them understand emotions they can't express." Healer Kai shook her head. "Our children do not need false information, they need truth and facts." "But truth and facts aren't helping right now," Dr. Kim pointed out. "Look at her. She's terrified." Through the opening, they could hear Miso's breathing becoming faster and more shallow. Healer Kai checked her scanner again and her expression grew worried. "The child's oxygen consumption is increasing," Healer Kai reported. "Her fear is causing her body to work too hard. If this continues, she will become very sick." Engineer Park wiped sweat from his forehead. "And the vibrations from her crying are making the debris shift. We need her to be still and quiet, or the whole section could collapse." Captain Han made a decision. "Dr. Kim, try your story, but make it quick," Builder Yoon protested. "Captain, you cannot allow this. Telling untruths to a child is forbidden in our culture." "Your culture also values saving lives," Captain Han replied. "Right now we need to save this child's life." Dr. Kim moved closer to the opening. She could see Miso clearly now. The little Nari girl had the same large black eyes as the adults, but they were filled with tears. Her small hands were pressed against her ears, trying to block out the scary sounds around her. "Miso," Dr. Kim called gently through the opening. "Can you hear me?" The child looked up, surprised to hear a new voice. "My name is Yoonji," Dr. Kim continued. "I'm here to help you." "I want my parent," Miso cried. "I want to go home." "I know you do," Dr. Kim said softly. "And you will see your parent very soon. But while we work to get you out, would you like to hear about something wonderful?" Behind Dr. Kim, Builder Yoon and Healer Kai watched with horror and fascination. They had never heard anyone speak to a child this way. "What kind of wonderful thing?" Miso asked, her crying slowing a little. Dr. Kim smiled, even though the child couldn't see her face clearly. "Would you like to hear about a little star who fell from the sky?" The Nari adults gasped. Builder Yoon stepped forward. "Dr. Kim, you cannot." Captain Han held up his hand, stopping the protest. "Let her continue." Dr. Kim began her story. "Once upon a time there was a little star who lived high up in the sky with all the other stars. She was very happy there, dancing with her star friends every night." Miso's crying stopped. She was listening. "But one day," Dr. Kim continued, "the little star fell from the sky. She tumbled down, 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 through the clouds and into a strange place she had never seen before." "Was she scared?" Miso asked quietly. "Oh yes, she was very scared, Dr. Kim replied. Everything was different from her home in the sky. It was dark and cold and she didn't know where she was. Behind Dr. Kim, the Nari adults listened with growing amazement. They had never heard anything like this before. Builder Yoon's expression changed from horror to confusion to something almost like wonder. What happened to the little star? Miso asked. Well, at first she cried, just like you are crying now, Dr. Kim said. She wanted to go home to the sky, but then she discovered something amazing. What did she discover? She discovered that even though she was far from home, she still had her beautiful starlight inside her. And that light could help other people, who were lost and scared, just like she was. Miso was completely quiet now, listening intently. The little star learned that being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. Dr. Kim continued. Being brave means you keep your light shining even when you're afraid. Engineer Park looked up from his work. Miso had stopped crying completely. The debris had stopped shaking. He could work more safely now. Did the little star ever get home? Miso asked. The little star learned something wonderful, Dr. Kim replied. Home isn't just a place in the sky. Home is anywhere you feel loved and safe. And the little star realized that the people trying to help her were making a new kind of home for her right where she was. Like the people helping me now? Miso asked. Exactly like the people helping you now, Dr. Kim said. We are all here because we care about you. You are not alone. Through the opening, they could see Miso sitting quietly now. Her breathing had returned to normal. The other trapped researchers looked amazed at the change in the child. Healer Kai checked her scanner and gasped. The child's vital signs are stable. Her oxygen consumption has returned to normal levels. Engineer Park worked faster now that the debris was still. I can make this opening bigger, he reported. The structure is holding steady. Builder Yoon stared at Dr. Kim with an expression no human had ever seen on a Nari face before. It was confusion mixed with something that might have been awe. How? Builder Yoon began, then stopped. How did that help her? The words you spoke were not true. Stars do not fall and find new homes. Stars do not have feelings. Dr. Kim looked at him kindly. The story wasn't about a real star, Builder Yoon. It was about Miso. Sometimes we tell stories about imaginary things to help us understand real things. But how can untrue words create true comfort? Healer Kai asked. Dr. Kim thought carefully about how to explain. The story helped Miso understand that it's okay to be scared, and that she's not alone. Those are true things, even though the star in the story was imaginary. As Engineer Park continued to widen the opening, something extraordinary was happening to the Nari who had listened to the story. They felt something new in their minds, a strange, tingling sensation they had never experienced before. It was the first stirring of imagination. With Miso calm and quiet, Engineer Park worked faster than before. The debris no longer shook from the child's crying. He carefully removed piece after piece of broken metal and stone. The opening is almost big enough, Park reported. I think we can start getting people out. Dr. Kim continued talking to Miso through the gap. You're being so brave, just like the little star in the story. Will you tell me more about the star? Miso asked softly. Builder Yoon, who had been watching in amazement, stepped closer. Child, you know the story is not real, correct? Miso nodded. Yes, but I like it anyway. It makes me feel better. This simple answer shocked Builder Yoon more than anything else. The child understood the story was not factual, but found value in it regardless. This went against everything the Nari believed about truth and knowledge. Healer Kai was studying her medical scanner with confusion. I do not understand these readings, she said. When the human told her story, something changed in the child's brain patterns. Changed how? Captain Han asked. New neural pathways activated, Healer Kai explained. Areas of the brain that normally remain dormant in our species began to show activity. Dr. Kim looked up with interest. What kind of brain areas? Sections that deal with, I do not have words for it in our language. Healer Kai struggled to explain. Areas that process things that are not real but feel meaningful. Engineer Park had made the opening large enough for a person to crawl through. Okay, we can start the rescue now. The first person through was Miso's parent, a researcher named Jin. Jin rushed to embrace the child, tears streaming down their face. My little one, I was so worried, Jin said, holding Miso tight. The human lady told me a story about a brave star, Miso said excitedly. It helped me not be scared. Jin looked confused and turned to Builder Yoon for explanation. The human used fictional narrative to calm the child, Builder Yoon said slowly, as if the words felt strange in his mouth. Fiction? Jin asked. You mean lies? Not lies, Dr. Kim said gently. Stories, tales that help us understand feelings and experiences. As they helped the other trapped researchers through the opening, something remarkable was happening. Each Nari who had listened to Dr. Kim's story was experiencing strange sensations in their minds. Builder Yoon found himself thinking about the star from the story. Even though he knew it wasn't real, he could picture it falling through space. The image felt vivid and meaningful in a way he had never experienced before. Healer Kai discovered she was imagining what other stories might exist. What if there were tales about healing plants that could talk? What if there were stories about doctors who could cure sadness? The thoughts felt both wrong and exciting. When all the trapped researchers were safely rescued, the team returned to the main part of the station. The other survivors gathered around to hear what had happened. The human saved us with words that were not true, one of the rescued researchers explained. But the untrue words made true things happen. The other Nari looked puzzled. This was the most confusing thing they had ever heard. Miso, still holding her parent's hand, walked over to Dr. Kim. Can you finish the story about the star? What do you mean, finish it? Dr. Kim asked with a smile. What happened next? Did the little star make friends? Did she learn to like her new home? Dr. Kim looked around at all the Nari faces watching her. What do you think happened next? I don't know, Miso said. Can I make up what happens? The adult Nari gasped. Make up what happens? Children were not supposed to imagine things that weren't real. Of course you can, Dr. Kim encouraged. What do you think the little star did next? Miso thought for a moment, her young face serious with concentration. I think the little star met other lost things. Maybe a lost moon and a lost comet. And they all became friends and helped each other find new homes. As Miso spoke, something extraordinary happened to every Nari listening. They could see the images the child was creating with her words. They could imagine the star, the moon, and the comet becoming friends. It felt impossible, but it was happening. Builder Yoon felt dizzy. I can see what she is describing, but it is not real. How can I see something that is not real? That's imagination, Dr. Kim explained. The ability to picture things that don't exist but might be possible, or that help us understand our feelings. Healer Kai was scanning the Nari around her with her medical equipment. Everyone who heard the story is showing the same brain changes, she reported, her voice filled with wonder. These neural pathways have been dormant in our species for thousands of years. The human story has awakened them. Ambassador Rio, who had arrived with additional rescue ships, listened to this news with amazement. Are you saying that listening to human fiction has changed our brains? Not changed, Healer Kai corrected. Awakened. These pathways were always there. We just never knew how to activate them. Over the next few hours, as they prepared to leave, the damaged station, the Nari who had heard Dr. Kim's story began experimenting with their new ability. They found they could imagine things that didn't exist. They could picture scenarios that might happen in the future. They could create mental images that helped them understand emotions. It was like discovering a new sense they never knew they had. Jin approached Dr. Kim as they boarded the rescue ships. My child has asked me to thank you, Jin said. Not just for the rescue, but for the gift you gave her. What gift? Dr. Kim asked. The gift of dreaming, Jin replied. Miso told me she had her first dream last night. She dreamed about flying through space with the star from your story. I did not know Nari children could dream about things that are not real. Dr. Kim smiled. Maybe they always could. Maybe they just needed to learn how. As the rescue ships headed back to Nari space, Builder Yoon sat quietly in the corner. He was thinking about something that had never occurred to him before. He was wondering what it would be like to build structures that had never been built before. Not just practical buildings, but beautiful ones that existed first in imagination. For the first time in his life, Builder Yoon was dreaming of possibilities. The rescue was over, but the real transformation was just beginning. The Nari had discovered something they never knew they were missing. They had found their imagination. And it all started with a simple story told to save a frightened child. 1 week after the rescue, the Nari Scientific Council called an emergency meeting. They had been studying recordings of Dr. Kim's story and the brain scans of every Nari who had heard it. The results were beyond anything they had ever imagined. Ambassador Rio stood before the council, his expression serious but excited. Fellow Nari, we have discovered something that will change our understanding of ourselves forever. The council chamber was filled with the most important scientists and leaders of Nari society. They had all seen the medical reports. They knew something extraordinary had happened. The humans have given us a gift we did not know we were missing, Rio continued. They have awakened parts of our minds that have been sleeping for thousands of years. Chief Scientist Hana stepped forward. Our analysis shows that the neural pathways activated by human storytelling exist in all Nari, she reported. These pathways have been dormant since our early evolution. We believe our ancestors once had the ability to imagine, but we lost it as our society focused more and more on absolute truth. The council murmured with amazement. To think that their entire species had been living with only part of their mental abilities active was shocking. What does this mean for our people? Asked Elder Taman. Chief Scientist Hana showed brain scans on the large display. It means we can learn to do what humans call creative thinking. We can imagine solutions that do not yet exist. We can understand emotions through stories instead of just through facts. Meanwhile, aboard the Prometheus, Captain Han was meeting with his own team. The humans were just as amazed by what had happened as the Nari were. I never expected anything like this, Doctor, Kim said. I just wanted to calm a scared child. I had no idea it would change an entire species. Dr. June was studying the linguistic implications. The Nari are already starting to develop new words, he reported. Words for concepts like pretend, imagine, and dream. Their language is evolving in real time, and the cultural impact will be enormous, added Captain Han. A society that has never had fiction is now discovering creativity. It's like watching the birth of art itself. Back on the Nari homeworld, something wonderful was happening. Little Miso had become famous among her people. She was the first Nari child to tell a story, and other children wanted to learn how. Miso sat in a circle with 6 other young Nari, sharing tales she had created. Once there was a singing planet, she began, her eyes bright with excitement. The planet was lonely because all the other planets were quiet, so it decided to travel through space to find friends who loved music too. The other children listened with fascination. Their parents watched from nearby, still amazed by this new behavior they had never seen before. Jin, Miso's parent, approached Dr. Kim, who was visiting the Nari homeworld as part of a cultural exchange program. My child asked the strangest questions. Now, Jin said with a mixture of confusion and pride. Yesterday she asked me what color happiness would be if happiness were a color. How does one answer such a question? Dr. Kim smiled. There's no right answer. That's the beauty of imagination. Miso is learning to think in new ways. She told me that happiness would be yellow like sunshine, but soft yellow, not bright yellow. Jin continued. I do not understand why, but when she said it, I could picture exactly what she meant. 3 months later, the changes in Nari society were remarkable. Builder Yoon had designed the first Nari building created for beauty, rather than just function. It was a graceful structure that looked like a flower reaching toward the sky. I dreamed of this building before I built it. Yoon explained to visitors. I imagined how it would look, how it would make people feel when they saw it. Then I made the dream real. The Nari had also begun creating their first art. Healer Kai had started painting pictures that showed emotions as colors and shapes. Other Nari were composing music that told stories without words, but the most significant change was in how the Nari approached problems. Instead of only considering solutions that already existed, they began imagining new possibilities. When a food shortage threatened one of their colonies, instead of simply calculating existing resources, the Nari scientists imagined new ways to grow food. They developed floating gardens that had never been tried before. The solution worked perfectly. Imagination allows us to see beyond what is to what could be, Chief Scientist Hana explained to a gathering of both humans and Nari. It is a tool for creating better futures. 1 year after the rescue, Ambassador Rio organized a special ceremony. Representatives from both species gathered in the main hall of the Nari capital city. "We are here to honor Dr. Kim Yoon-ji," Rio announced, "not just for saving young Miso, but for giving our entire species a new way of thinking." Dr. Kim stood before the crowd, feeling both proud and humble. "I only told a simple story," she said. "You did the hard work of learning to imagine." Miso, now 9 years old, walked up to Dr. Kim with a gift. It was a painting she had made showing the little star from the original story. But in Miso's version, the star was surrounded by hundreds of other stars, all different colors, all glowing, together. "This is the star from your story," Miso explained. "But I imagined that she found a whole family of stars who were different from her. They all learned that being different made them special, not wrong." Dr. Kim knelt down to Miso's level. "That's a beautiful addition to the story." "It's not an addition," Miso said with the wisdom of a child who had discovered imagination. "It's a new story that grew from the old one. Stories do that, don't they? They grow and change and become new stories." Captain Han watched the ceremony with satisfaction. The mission to make contact with the Nari had succeeded beyond anyone's dreams. Not only had humans found allies among the stars, but they had helped those allies discover parts of themselves they never knew existed. Ambassador Rio gave the closing speech of the ceremony. "The humans came to us as strangers," he said. "We feared their ability to create untruths. We thought it made them untrustworthy. Now we understand that their gift of imagination is what makes them so remarkable." He paused, looking at both the human and Nari faces in the crowd. "We have learned that there are many kinds of truth. There is the truth of facts, which we have always known. But there is also the truth of feelings, the truth of possibilities, and the truth of dreams. Stories help us understand all these different truths." Rio smiled, an expression that looked natural on his face now, though it would have been impossible before hearing his first human story. The humans taught us that sometimes the best way to understand what is real is to imagine what is not real. They showed us that the ability to dream of better things is what allows us to create better things. As the ceremony ended, humans and Nari mingled together, sharing stories and dreams. Children from both species played games that mixed facts with imagination. Adults discussed plans for building a future that neither species could have imagined alone. Dr. Kim stood with Miso, watching the celebration. The little Nari girl who had once been trapped and terrified was now confident and creative, telling stories to anyone who would listen. "Do you know what the best part is?" Miso asked Dr. Kim. "What's that?" "Every story I tell teaches me something new about myself," Miso said. "And every story I hear from others teaches me something new about them. Stories help us understand each other." Dr. Kim nodded, realizing that this child had discovered one of the most important truths about imagination. Stories don't just help us dream of new worlds. They help us understand the world we already live in and the people we share it with. The celebration continued into the night. One thing was clear. The galaxy had become a bigger, more wonderful place. Two species had found each other among the stars. And in learning to share their stories, they had discovered that the universe itself was full of infinite possibilities, waiting to be imagined into reality. The age of human and Nari cooperation had begun, and it all started with a simple story told to save one frightened child.